friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here today to talk about the best natural ways to help promote hair growth. Mostly this is going to be external, but also some things you can do internally to help get your body in a better state that will help with that hair loss and promote healthy hair growth. So I'm going to start off by mentioning some different oils that you can use. And again, this is going to be topically. And any of these oils can be worked into the scalp, and then you can just go ahead and work it through the ends of your hair, because they're also going to be very conditioning for your hair. So the hair that's already out, you want to take care of it too. But by massaging in a lot of these things into your scalp, that's also going to stimulate, just the process of massaging anything into your scalp will help stimulate the blood flow, which will then also promote hair growth. These oils are olive oil, coconut oil, sweet almond oil, castor oil, which is one that's definitely a good one, but very thick. So I personally like to use it maybe in a 1 to 3 part ratio with another oil when I use that in my hair growth oil blend that I'll talk about here in a bit. Wheat germ, jojoba, grape seed, argan, and sesame. And another one that I've heard acclaimed is emu oil, but it's very expensive. And I tried it once, and I don't think it's worth the cost of something like that when you can go back to some lesser expensive oils like the grape seed, the olive, the coconut, the sweet almond, and the castor oil. I think those are going to be the better options, but also knowing that people have different allergies and so on, it's good to have a good list, which is why I've been putting these different lists together that's going to help with certain things, whether it be aches and pains or any other kind of ailment that you may have. So that's what these are for. And also I'll try to remember to type up this whole list and paste it into the description box so that then you can copy and paste into your own document. Now, before I move on to the herbs, let me talk a little bit about infusing. So I have several videos on oil infusions, and what I mostly use in all of my infusions is avocado oil, and this is going to be very good for your hair too. And the reason I go with the avocado oil is because I have easy access to it at a lower price than I can usually find grapeseed oil, because when it comes to grapeseed, you definitely want to find organic, and the organic grapeseed oil can be very expensive. So that's why I like avocado oil, and because just like grapeseed and coconut oil, it has a higher heat tolerance, which means when you're infusing, especially if you're trying to infuse in a warmer spot, it's not going to go rancid on you the way olive oil can. So that's why I don't do much infusions with olive oil. You can still do that, but when you're infusing with olive oil, you're going to want to infuse in a cooler spot for a longer period of time than you could do with the grapeseed or the avocado. And then the reason I don't use coconut oil is because I don't get the fractionated coconut oil. I always buy it in the solid form, and when it's solid, it's not good for infusing. You need to have it in a liquid form for infusing. So the next list would be the different herbs that you can use in your oil infusions to make your own hair growth oil. And those things are sage, rosemary, lavender, nasturtium flower, one of my favorites, cayenne pepper, and peppermint are a couple of them on the list. And the reason those ones, I've always used cayenne pepper, and this was just because I knew I couldn't find it in anything when I was doing research for this, but it's simply because I knew that cayenne pepper, when applied topically, will help increase blood flow to that area. So that means even using in the muscle and joint rub that I have. And I have recipes on both of these that I'll go ahead and link to in the description box down below, the muscle rub and the hair growth oil. So let me go on with this list. So hibiscus, ginseng, rose petals and nasturtium flowers and marshmallow leaves are some of my favorite herbs to use when I'm making the vinegar rinse for my hair, because of the benefits they have to the hair. Nettle, moringa, green tea, holy basil, horsetail, I already knew about that one. I just keep forgetting to get out to our property when it's growing and get some. I hope I remember this year. I'm sure it's out there now, so I just never have time to get out there. But anyway, horsetail is excellent for just overall hair care and stimulating hair growth. Saw palmetto, gooseberry, I'm assuming it's the berry itself, and again applied topically, but I'm sure eating the berries helps too. You know, it's always good to be able to help from the inside out. And burdock. So, and there's even more out there. This is just the list I've compiled so far. And an herb that you can definitely use internally to help from the inside out would be dandelion root. And in this case, you'd be making a tea out of it. And in fact, you can make a tea basically out of any of the herbs I listed and use that as a hair rinse. You can make the vinegar out of it and use that as a hair rinse, or you can infuse into the oil and use it as a massage, or do all of the above, whatever you feel that you need. Now I want to go on to read a list of nutrients that are really going to help boost hair growth. And that is vitamins A, B, C, and of course D3, biotin, and your fatty acids. So now I'm going to read off just a few of the fruits, vegetables, and meats. So there's plenty of vegan stuff in here for people too, but I didn't put it in any specific order, that you can get some of these different nutrients from. Just know that D3 can only be obtained from animal sources. D2, it's not as powerful as D3, but you can get D2 from certain plants. So I recommend you do your own research into that. And the same thing applies to this whole list. So the reason I give you this list is so depending on what you can grow or what grows wild next to you, we're all going to be in different climates and different areas where certain things are going to grow more heavily than for somebody else, or at least is more accessible. These foods are berries, shrimp, avocado, love avocado, eggs, fatty fish. Of course, that's where you're going to get a lot of your omegas, those fatty acids. So that would be salmon, mackerel, sardines, and even anchovies. Seeds, like especially flax seed and chia seed. So these are things you can consume that are going to help with that hair growth. Sweet potatoes, spinach, nuts. Love nuts. Got all kinds of nuts around here. As you know, not just us either, the ones that I store up for food. I got a bunch of those. Sweet peppers, oysters, beans, and even red meat. It's funny to me when I start researching specific topics and I find things in there that are going to be highest in certain nutrients that you cannot find in other foods, such as red meat. And so it's really interesting because, you know, we're always told stay away from red meat and don't eat that and don't eat that. And really what I believe it comes down to have full health all over your body, strong teeth, good hair growth, good skin, just good everything. It's really important to get the healthy versions of all food groups. And that's my personal opinion, and from my own personal experience and from personal testimonies I've heard from people who were once vegan, some even vegan for 20 years, until they finally realized that it was having a strong detriment on their health. And this is nothing against vegans. I realize some people have to be. I realize there's probably some people that can thrive quite well off that diet. But for most of us, getting all the nutrients we need, like B12 and D3 and some of these fatty acids that can only be obtained from animal sources, we need that. Now the key is when you're going, let's say if you're going to get some beef at the store, you're wanting to look for a good grass-fed beef, something that's not been injected with hormones and antibiotics. It's those things that make us ill when we eat those kind of meats. So looking for something that's wild caught or catching your own. A lot of people hunt. Patrick does hunt from time to time. We have elk and deer in our freezer, plus we have a lot of salmon from fishing, and these are all things that we can round out and get all of our nutrients just from the things that we store up. But even if you are vegan and you are really sold on eating that way, there are still plenty of foods that you can get most of your nutrients from one way or the other. And just like the avocados, the nuts, and the seeds, these are all very healthy things. And the beans. Soybeans was on the list, but soy is one of those controversial things. And if you like soy, like tofu or whatever, it is most important that you try to look for something that is non-GMO, because soy is one of the top genetically modified crops out there, along with canola and corn. So that's what I recommend. But personally for me, I stay away from soy. Soy is an estrogen mimicker. For a lot of us women, especially as we get older, I think it's better to stay away from soy. I was about ready to go on a soapbox about that, but what I'll do is I'll link to the video I did about menopause and dealing with it, and why I think you should stay away from things like soy. Now remember, I'm going to be linking down below to my personal hair growth oil recipe, but you can use any of the herbs I listed, because maybe not all these grow for you, or you can't find them easily enough. Make your own herbal blend based on my recipe that I show you there. You don't have to use the same herbs I do. You can use any that are most available to you. And by the way, I think I forgot to say, I don't always think to say this, I personally use it as a leave-in treatment. So I massage it into my scalp, and then I just leave it for the rest of the day. And I do that after I wash my hair, so there's none of my own oils that could block the use of this, and then I'm not getting too much oil. But if you prefer not to leave it in, go ahead and put it in your hair and leave it on for at least 20 minutes before you wash your hair. I personally think it's best if you can leave it on until you wash your hair the next time. I think that's best, but that might not work for everybody, especially if your hair isn't as dry and curly as mine is. So if you're more prone to oily hair, that might be something you'll just want to maybe even put on before you go to bed at night, and leave it on overnight, and then wash your hair in the morning. And I also have herb profiles on at least some of these herbs that are in here, and I've got a whole list of herb profile videos I'll be doing, so you'll have to be watching for those when they come out. But anyway, I do have one on nasturtiums, on sage, and let's see, rose petals, and nettle, of course, and mints. So I talk about the peppermint in there. So a lot of those I'm talking about, not just the benefits, but how I personally use them and what varieties I use, and so on and so forth. So I'll be linking to that whole playlist down below, the herb playlist. Some of those videos are pretty old, but that way you can go through there and just look at the list, and then find the ones that you want to watch that are more specific to the herb that you're looking for. All right, well, that's it for this video, and I'll be having more lists like this coming out in the near future. So I hope you're enjoying this, and it gives you a way that you can just kind of make up your own recipes, and to figure out what herbs you would like to grow in your own garden for next year. All right, well, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.